Welcome everyone. This is the Gahanna Gaming Group. My name is Jerry. Right now I'm just going to practice a little bit with the new setup we have in here. I want to hear the sound to see if the sound is okay, check the lighting, see if the lighting's okay, check my cameras. I think I want to be able to switch from like this shot, and we should have two people here. So in this just talking heads, we could have 1 to 2 people here. Then I can also switch to this shot where I can kind of do close-ups. And then this shot here when we want to kind of lay stuff out. I'm going to give this a look. I want to see how clear this is. We do have a better camera coming that I'm going to put here. So hopefully this will be a really nice video right here. Good clarity. But, you know, for now, this was probably going to be able to make things see a little bit better. I'll just scoot a card over here. So what I want to do right now is just do a little mock for FARAWAY, a little breakdown, maybe even kind of a how-to play. Those will be different formats. I don't think I'm going to put it all together. I think I want to do breakdowns where we keep the, not so much review as it is an analyzation of the game, a breakdown. We'll look at different aspects, characteristics of a game. Just try to fill in the blanks and not tell you if it's good or bad or if I liked it or didn't like it. We'll probably have some opinion, like shows and things like that. But for the breakdowns, we're going to try to keep it as subjective as possible. And the only time we'll debate a breakdown is if, say, I say a game has this characteristic and someone else says, no, I disagree, it's got this characteristic, you're way off. We might sit and talk about that, but then you can you know, listen to the debate, listen to our thinking behind it, and that way maybe get a little insight into how we see board games. Because at the end of the day, I don't want this channel to turn into any kind of influencing kind of channel. We're not here to sell things. We might get sponsors if we're lucky enough someday, or have people to ask people to, you know, be involved in our breakdowns, which is one of the reasons I want to keep it as objective as possible. I'm hoping that anyone watching wouldn't be able to tell outside of the sponsored tag on YouTube. You wouldn't be able to tell if it was a sponsored review, a breakdown, or an unsponsored breakdown. Just maybe it's a featured game that we use in our gaming group for that season. If we love a game enough that it gets a lot of play, or that we feel it belongs in the 5 to 10 featured games of that season, then we don't need to have anyone pay us to run it. We'll just run it. Because at the end of the day, this channel's foundation is going to be what the foundation of the game group itself is, which is a teaching and learning first. That's the number one goal. That is the foundation that this group is built upon. That is our culture. We teach, we learn board games. You'll probably learn a lot about our group. I plan to have members on all the time. I'd like to do some playthroughs. I'd like to do how to plays. I like to do breakdowns. I'd like to do all kinds of things. because I absolutely love this hobby. And that's another thing I want to talk about while we're doing this test is why we even have this group in the first place. Like, why in the world do we have a board game group that literally rents its own space so we can play anytime we want? Because I love this hobby. It has done a lot for me. It has helped me greatly. And I really, really, really want to get it out to as many people as much as I can. So we made this group. And we've been going strong for the last couple of years. We meet multiple times a week. We're free, we're open to the public. And I love it. I love this group. A lot of interesting people. A lot of people newer to the hobby coming in, which I find amazing. I think it's fantastic. Because at the end of the day, I wanted this group to be something that could help break down the barriers to this hobby that was so good to me. And I think the three biggest, which some people have convinced me that there's four now. First is cost. This is an expensive hobby, right? You can break down that barrier. We're starting to develop a free lending library that will be open soon, but I mean, if you just want to play games anytime, any day of the week, just ask. And I bet somebody will come bring their game and play with you. So I like to think that we're taking that barrier out slowly. You need people to play with, right? If it's just you and a couple members of your family, if you're lucky, a couple members of your family who love board games as much as you do, if sometimes it's hard to get people together. Well, if you can get a big enough pool of people, there's a better chance that you're going to be able to get a game in whenever you can, whenever you want to, even in the middle of the week. You want to play brass on a Wednesday? We've played brass on a Wednesday. It's a beautiful thing. Birmingham, not the original one. I'm not that old school. And you know, the third, which I thought was final, is the rules, because every game is different. So every game is bespoke, every game is unique. And yes, if you play long enough, you'll start to understand the different mechanisms or mechanics that make, and I do differentiate between mechanisms and mechanics. They're not synonyms for me. Words are important to me, and I will get into how I use words and why I think they're important at some point. Not right now, though. This is just a test. I don't need this to be a 2-hour video. Just kind of try to explain a little bit of what we do. Maybe try to break down FARAWAY. So we like to get here and teach, and very rarely will we have a game in the group where there's one person doesn't need to teach. Like, very rarely. So there's always at least one person who needs a teach, or at the very least a brush up. So we do that. We teach a lot, and some of us are getting really good at it. Some people are getting really, really good at teaching. And just as an aside, if this gets talked about a lot, I know it's a bit of a debate with people who teach board games. And I will say this: if you do not allow questions during your teach, everyone has to sit there on their hands and wait until you've got your whole thing out. You're not teaching the board game. You're merely explaining the rules, just aloud. People who have questions need them answered. And it might even seem off base to you, but everybody's brain works differently. So as a public service announcement, please allow people to ask questions when you're teaching. It's not sacrosanct, right? Your teach is not holier than holy. Just take a deep breath, answer the questions, and get back on track. Even if you say, every few minutes I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions. So if you have a question, just hold it for then. That's fine if you don't want to be interrupted. If you can't, that's not where your comfort level is. But don't do a 30-minute regurgitation of the rules and then ask for questions. Please. Please don't do that. That's my public service announcement. And then the fourth thing that someone just brought up the other day, and it's space, right? Like, well, you know, like the old Virginia Woolf room of one's own. I guess you do need space. It does help to have a little space to play some of these games, and they can get quite sprawling, and it's nice to have a dedicated area. So I'm going to put that as 4. I don't think it's as important as the first 3, but I'm listening. I can be convinced. Do you think space is as important as expense, players, and rules as far as barriers go? Let me know. If you can think of anything else that is a barrier to this hobby, let me know. I'm always willing to edit, change things up, to modify as new information comes in. But I put a lot of thought into what the barriers of this hobby was and what would be the best way to go about eliminating them, and bringing in as many people in the hobby who want to be in this hobby as possible. So that's kind of the foundation of this group. And yeah, I know it's crazy. I'm not sure what we are becoming. Maybe eventually a professional board game group. Is that a thing? I don't know. But I do know that not everybody gets to come out. Like, if they've been really wanting to learn this game. Like, man, I've been wanting to learn brass. You guys have played 10 times in the last 3 months, and it was just, I could never get there on the day, or it was filled or whatever. So I'd really like to start having like a featured game on Friday nights when we do our spotlights on Friday nights. To have one of those be featured and play right here. Like right here. Obviously the camera setup will be different. It'll be wide angle lens. I'd like to have different, hopefully at least as many shots on as many people who are in, so you can kind of move around, and then you can ask questions. I'd love to stream it. It's almost like people, like you're right there. I can't make it, but you know, I'm gonna be home. I can pull my brass out, and I can learn along with you, or I can learn with my family. Like we really want to play. And we really want to play, and we can't teach it to 10 different families, but we can teach it right here on Friday night at 7 o'clock on XYZ date, and let you know that so you can go home and get it set up, and you can learn the teach right along with us, and you can ask questions as we go, and I'll whoever's manning the stream will answer those questions. And I've never streamed anything before in my life. I'm gonna figure that out, which comes back to the earlier thing that I think I started about who we are. We're board gamers. We're hobbyists. We love this hobby. But a lot of us are educators in this group. So we want to teach. We want to get this hobby out to as many people as possible. We want to teach the rules. We want to share our love of the hobby. So this is going to be an educational channel. That's my hope. Will we be entertaining? I hope so. I hope so. I hope we'll figure out the like editing and the camera angles and lighting and this, that, and the third, production value, right? I'm not an influencer who went to school for film and came out and looked for their niche until they found it. This isn't me. That's not what I'm doing. I'm somebody who loves a hobby and loves to educate people and loves to debate and learn and figure things out. And I want to make that kind of channel where we're learning, we're figuring things out, we're tinkering, we're playing. We deluxify our games. We have so many interesting bespoke games that I'd love to share with people, and love to share how we make these components and things, and I'd love to get that out there. So that's what we are. Don't expect us to be super entertaining, at least not at first. You know, if we find some members who are more entertaining, they'll probably get in front of the camera more often if that's what people want. But it's really just going to be, you know, what are people looking for? What do people want? And it's gonna have this foundation in education. I'm not gonna learn to talk in a voice like this. That's not gonna happen unless it's, you know, for immersive reasons in a game. I'm just gonna talk to you like I'm like this camera right here with someone, and we were getting ready to play a game, or we've just played, and now we're gonna BS for 2 hours because why not? So that's kind of how it's going. That's how this is gonna go. So it doesn't look like any of my equipment's overheating. That's cool. I'm not sure how long we've been going here. That doesn't tell me. I wish there was a way just to see that. Maybe in the future I'll get a TV up or something. Well, right now I kind of just want to get into a breakdown. This isn't, breakdowns will just be boom, intro, breakdown. Of course I have to learn how to edit and get an intro first, but for a breakdown, we're gonna just talk about a game. So for right now, here, this is FARAWAY. This is one of our featured games for the season, and this is our second season. It's still a work in progress. I'm not exactly sure how long seasons are, or how many games are in it, or how I'm picking the games. I'm just kind of pick out 10 games, and I put them out of the library and into the main room, and just so they're there, and they're all games that I can teach fairly easily. So if anytime we're just sitting around, people are like, we don't know what to play, I'm like, all right, somebody grab a feature game, and there we go, we're off and running. This is FARAWAY. This is an interesting game. Not a ton of components. You got some cards, you know, rule book. This is like, I think some kind of, is it player aid? I don't know, I never use it. Yeah, and a score pad. So, good, great, grand. Let's talk about the cards. There's two different kind of cards. There's these cards, which these kind of record your journey when you're using these cards. Let's talk about what these cards mean. So, in this card, you see here, this is your initiative. The lower the initiative, the earlier you get to take your turn in the draft. This is a map. This helps you get sanctuary cards, which I'll talk about in a minute. This is your payment. So you have to be able to have these symbols showing you need, I don't even know what they're called. I call them keys and elk or deer, I don't know. So those have to be showing. And then this is your points if these are showing. And what I mean by showing is this game is a little strange in that while you're playing, on your turn there will be like X plus 1, X being the number of players, I believe. Cards showing, okay. So we always have 3 cards in our hand. So if this was my hand, I would choose one of these 3 cards. Now, these initiative numbers matter for 2 reasons. First, everyone plays 1 card out of their hand, so one of the 3 cards face down on the table, and then everyone flips them over simultaneously. Whoever has the lowest number, lowest initiative, gets to go first. So if I wanted this card, I would take it and then put it into my hand. And now this is the first step of my journey. And we will continue to play cards like that. Second round, draft, blah, blah, blah. Right, these get refilled after everybody goes. Third round, draft, blah, blah, blah. Fourth round, and you go until you have 8 cards. We'll just pretend like these are my 8. Let me see if all that's on the, yeah. Okay. Now, as you're playing, you could be earning sanctuary cards. These are the sanctuary cards. They're much smaller, and they're always face up. Wait, what are you talking about, always face up? Well, when you start scoring, you turn all your cards down except one, and I'll talk about that in a second. But these will always be available to you, and sometimes they have in-game scoring. Sometimes they give you resources that you need to unlock cards. But how do you, sometimes they'll give you more day or night symbols, which is what these are. This is day, this is night, if you can see it. So sometimes they'll give you more maps and game scoring, yada, yada. Okay. So as you're playing, let's pretend these haven't been put down yet. Let's pretend this is my second round, and I've just, okay, we've got this card. Then everybody flips it over, boom. Oh, we all look at initiative, we take our draft, we get a card into our hand. But then, if this number is larger than the preceding one, you get at least one random sanctuary card. If you have maps, you get to add that many sanctuaries into your draw. You can still only keep one, but now you've got a better chance. So if I had this, I would just get one, and that belongs to me now. Now I've got a pineapple, so if I have anything later on, like this, that requires a pineapple to unlock, well, now I've unlocked at least that. All I need is the key. So as I go, if it's larger again, I get another one, because I only have one map. Oh, but now the next time it's larger, I'll get to look at 2, because this has a map on it. And then choose one. And let's pretend if this one was next, it's lower, so I wouldn't get one. If this one's higher, I would get 2. Ooh, okay, let me get another key in case I have something that needs 2 keys. So now this will be unlocked because of that, which is great. And then that just gets discarded. So let's just say we've played all the way through. I've gotten another sanctuary. Now, we've taken 8 rounds. The game is over. But here's the interesting thing. These stay face up the whole time through, but everything else, since you took your journey from left to right, but now as you return home, you've gone there, and now you got to get back again, you score. So this, there is nothing to unlock it right here. Nothing to unlock. So you just automatically get this, and it reads for every one of these blue key things, I get 2 points. So this card, because I have two keys on my sanctuary cards, and they're always face up, I would get 4 points. And if this had resources in this corner, then I would be able to use them for the rest of these cards, but it didn't. So I'll turn this over. And this reads, okay, nothing to unlock, but for every map I'm showing, I get a point. So I've got one on my sanctuary, and I got one here. This one obviously doesn't count, the one that's in the scoring. So that would be 2 points for this card. This is just 4 points. This is for every, if you look, all the cards also have colors, tan, blue, green, and then there's a colorless brown, and I think there's a red as well, or yellow. Oh, this is yellow. I think there might be red. So for every one of those, red, oh yeah, there's a red or yellows, you get a point. So right now I only have one of those, that's 1 point. Here, same thing, is blue or yellow, so this one's worth 2, nothing to unlock. Okay, so finally my first one to unlock. Oh, I didn't switch my camera view. So finally my first one to unlock is brown and blue, 2 points if I can unlock it. And since I have a key here and a pineapple here, this gets unlocked. So I would get 2, 4, 6, 8 points for that. Here are the other cards, by the way, that I missed earlier when I didn't switch the camera angle. This says I need 2 of these deer, and I don't have 2 deer, so this is a 0. Unfortunately, I didn't plan my route. And this last one, it costs nothing. It's just for every set. So if I have at least 1 red, blue, yellow, and green, which I have exactly only 1 set because I only have 1 red and 1 blue. So that one's worth 10 points. And then you score all of these together and you look at your sanctuary. So 1 for each pineapple, so that's 1. 1 for each nighttime, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is 1 for every green or red, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 4. And then you tally them all up, and that's your score. This game, I would say, it's very straightforward rule set. It's not complicated. There's not that many cards. I mean, the whole game is a stack of cards this thick plus a stack of cards this thick, right? Not a ton going on. But I would say it is a fairly decent puzzle because you have to think in reverse, and that's the trick with this game. It's a programming game. You're thinking in reverse, and you have to be mindful. And sometimes you don't get the card's not out there. Sometimes you have to lay a card you don't want to lay because it's got a low initiative because there's a card on the board that you have to get because you need that resource to unlock the second card, and this is like your 8th card or 7th or 8th card, and you probably aren't going to get another chance to get that resource. There's a lot of good give and takes. There's a lot of good moments of, oh, what do I do? So there's decent agency in there. There's a ton of variance. It's very high variance. Like the cards that come out are going to greatly change what you're capable of doing on any turn, and that is of no fault of anyone. It's just sometimes that's just the way it is. But it's a quick game. It's got a decent amount of juice for the squeeze, and I mean, if you have to have like perfect information and want 100% strategic and just skill involved, this probably wouldn't be the game for you. This is a fun, quick, light game that still has a good puzzle, and it makes you think differently than most games. I think you have to think in reverse. So that's FARAWAY. That's my quick testing breakdown for FARAWAY. And I would say most of our breakdowns will go like that. I'd like to probably do some kind of graphics that I can just pull up while I'm filming. But other than that, to start, it's going to be fairly similar to that, whether I'm the one doing the breakdown or somebody else. And I'm going to try to keep my opinions out of it for the most part. Just interject a couple, maybe here or there. I know I'll use a term like juice and squeeze a lot. And I'll talk more about what I mean when I say squeeze and what I mean when I say juice, and the difference for me between complexity and complicatedness. Those aren't the same thing either. And I'll get into all of that at some point. That's not the video for that. This is just the video to see what it looks like in here. And I feel pretty good about how long this has been. It's been quite a minute. I think it's been at least a half hour. So before the batteries run out or things start heating up, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and say thanks for joining us. This has been the Gahanna Gaming Group, and I'll see you out there.